Well, hi INTP forum, it's me again. And thanks to you, Shoeless, and your enormous video, I have a whole half page on Microsoft Works to talk about. Thanks very much. But I'm happy to talk about it anyway because I'm finally done with finals. Hooray, just need to clean and get myself out of the apartment. Anyway, so Shoeless kind of discussed crushes again, and that is so weird. And Shoeless, I actually have the same kind of crushes too. Either it's totally controlled, vague interest, or just as giddy as a 8th grade middle school girl, as you said. It's kind of just a little annoying, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos. And what do I look for in a guy? All I can say is reasonably fit, no extremes really, preferably around my height, and so I don't have to stoop or crane my neck or anything, but really just reasonably good looking, and then it's all personality. And also, you brought up the why am I here type sensation, and I get that all the time, though it's not quite in the same form. Sometimes I get disoriented like you mentioned, but usually I'm just constantly asking myself, why am I here on this earth? Why am I here in this certain situation? What am I supposed to do here in life? Just big questions like that. And you mentioned going into extrovert mode around shyer people than you. I kind of do that, but I'm pretty shy myself half the time, so I don't usually run into people shyer than me, but when it does happen, I tend to be the one asking questions, trying to elicit a response, so kind of extrovert mode. And you also mentioned if you're more interested in people that are harder to type, in Myers-Briggs terms, and that is definitely true. Like, at least the most boring people I've ever met were just very easy to type. Like, well, I guess it's kind of a little bit on the offensive side, but I just don't find my grandpa interesting, and part of the reason why is because it's just bam, totally ISTJ. Just not too much to explore there. He just does what he does, and nothing changes. And on the other side of the spectrum, I could also say that my friends are pretty hard to type. Like, my current crush is pretty hard to type. He's very similar to me in his thought processes, totally TI, but kind of hard to tell between SE and NE because, like, he's into martial arts, so he's a black belt, so he's a lot of his life revolves around that SE experience, just going with the flow and getting in sync and physical sensations and that kind of thing, but at the same time he has quite the NE as well, so I'm really not sure if the SE is intrinsic or just something he developed, I don't know. But yeah, most of my friends / people I'm interested in are hard to type. And let's see. And you also mentioned similar voices. I've been wondering kind of the same thing. We seem to have lower, slightly monotone voices usually. And I wonder if that's nurture or nature, because I've noticed that my voice is pretty similar to everyone else's except for my slight hesitations and the abrupt ums and that kind of thing, if you've noticed. And I think that's probably kind of nurture, because when I was a kid I barely talked at all, I just read, so maybe my speech development is a little far behind. Well, and also, let's see, what else did I write here? Also, along the lines of similar voices, I was just wondering if you all have lower singing voices as well, and that's not quite the case for me, though it's kind of different since I sing quite a bit, so I have a good amount of practice increasing my range. For you music people, I'm probably a bit between an alto and a soprano. Like, I'm comfortable with anything from an E below middle C to a high D. So yeah. And another big topic was INTP forum clicks, and I don't think it's too much of an issue. From what I've seen, people can switch fairly easily from click to click. It's all a matter of where you hang out on the forum, pretty much. as for me, I consider myself to be kind of cliqueless. Sure, I'm firmly set in the old-timers clique, but does it really mean anything to be in a clique simply because I've been there for a long time? All I've really got is that I've seen the forum in different stages. I know my share of inside jokes, and I think I know the other old-timers pretty well, but is that enough to make a clique? Yeah, that's one of my questions. What do you think makes a legitimate clique? And another role I might have in this forum is that I'm a bit of essentially the ambassador for the LDS Church at the forum. I seem to be the only one. Well, there's one other member, Anling, but she's not too active, so it's pretty much just me. And okay, hopefully I can keep going with this. And AI, I believe you asked, what do you do with your spare time? I'm pretty similar to what you mentioned, just fairly ADD with the whole thing. I just keep going from one hobby to another. Like, I go on the INTP forum for a while, and then I play guitar, and then I read some, and then I decided to do a few sketchings, and then, yeah, I'm all over the place. And next topic is weirdness appreciation. I totally appreciate that. I'm probably not the weirdest person out there, but I pretty much look for weirdness in my friends because that, in my experience, it seems to give them a higher probability of being intuitive. But either way, they have interesting things to talk about most of the time. And okay, for the stuff that Banana Mango mentioned in his last video, especially that about depression, schizoid. And it's kind of weird for me. I don't think I actually have them as clinical mental diseases or whatever, but I kind of have phases with that. Like last summer, I was trying to get a job, and I just was having a very hard time with it. And though I think, and it kind of appeared like I had depression and social anxiety disorder, though I don't think that was quite the case. I think it might have been my immature FE. I'll explain that. Well, of course, it's in the middle of a recession, and I happen to live in a fairly small town, so that makes the job market very depressing, if you will. And I think my FE was just responding to the depressing nature of the job market, and therefore I was depressed, and that probably accentuated the small amount of anxiety I do have in social situations into a full-out disorder, almost. Though I don't think it's actually clinical. I mean, I got over it for the most part now, and I'm not currently depressed, so just my pathetic FE mimicking the situation, I guess. And am I putting up a rational front, like in these videos? Most likely. I mean, I'm usually more playful, though it's kind of hard to be playful when you're talking to a camera, you know? So, yeah. I think that's all I have to talk about. Maybe I'll actually have a longer video than usual. See you later.